Hello, welcome back to A Glass of Art and More, where we're going to be painting another fun kids painting. I'm going to have this image posted somewhere for you guys to make a copy of. And you can trace it onto a piece of paper or canvas. We got our gobble wobble. And we're just going to probably go with monochromatic colors. No, neutral colors, not monochromatic. Monochromatic would be one color. We're just making lots of variations. We're going to use Thanksgiving colors. So our palette has red, orange, yellow, white, and nutmeg brown on it. And we're going to go ahead and, like we always do, start in the background. So I'm going to grab my flat brush here. It's about 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of this white and nutmeg together. And I'm going to start in the very background and just start painting that kind of a light tan color back there. You can choose any color you want. You can make it a solid color, or you can leave it a little more streaked if you have a tendency of watching some of my other videos. You know I've painted backgrounds in all different ways. So you can choose whatever way you like to paint your background. I'm dipping right into that brown again. And I'm going to kind of trace around where my outline is. Now I have it marker outlined so that you guys can see it, but you can always use a black Sharpie marker over yours as well. And then you'll be able to see your line better, but just realize that black Sharpie never really gets covered up. It'll eventually bleed through. So just keep that in mind. All right. Got a little bit more of that dark color there. So I just kind of want it to ombre its way out. Looks like this side is darker than that side, but that's quite all right. And I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom down here. If you go over your lines, it's not a big deal. As long as you can still see your lines or see through it or know what you're painting, it'll be okay. I'm going to lighten this side up a bit. It's a little too dark. It's going to dry darker too, so there we go. Who knows, maybe I'll change it again before the end of the painting. Alright, just a tinge here. Get this little spot that's sticking out. This down here. More paint on my brush. Get pretty dark, carried away again. So now I'm going to grab some of my paper towel. Wipe off some of that paint. I have fresh, clean water. I have it in a little paint cup here. You can rinse your brush down at the bottom of the paint cup, swish it around, smack it a little bit to the inside like that, get the majority of the water off, then use your paper towel. Get your paint out. Lighten that up a bit because it was too dark for my liking. Grab that darker color again, just go around the outside again. There we go. Alright, there we have it. We've got the background. Now I'm going to go to the next color. This time I'm going to go into, with the brown still on my paintbrush, I'm going to go into my orange over here. It's going to become kind of a muted orange if I use some of that brown. Kind of like a terracotta color. And I'm going to paint that in the next background area. Again, if you want to do some other colors that go really well with orange, of course, it's complement, which is blue. Anything next to it on the color wheel, so red or yellow. And then the split complements too of orange. So if you think of the colors that you put together to make another color. So if you put yellow and orange together, you get kind of a yellow-orange, okay? So the two colors next to blue, a blue-green and a blue-violet and blue. Those would be the split complements, the blue-violet, blue-green of orange. And that would look nice with it too. If you're going to mute down any colors, like I did here by adding a little brown, or if you want to do it with a complementary color, you can. So they're kind of muted. Then the other colors that you are using on it, if you want them to match, you should put in the same color combination. So like if you're using a cool orange or a cool red, you'll want to use a cool green or a cool blue to be harmonious with the other colors. Kind of keep a very similar color palette then. Alright, need a little bit more of that. Mix that up over here again. It's going to change a little bit because it's not exact science that I have working on over here. I'm not measuring it out super consistently. If you're worried about not having enough, just mix up more. Anytime that you're mixing colors though, start with the lighter color and add just a little bit of the darker until you get to the right color that you want. If you start dark and you want like a light blue, and you start with a dark blue, adding white, you're going to be adding a lot of white to get to the light color blue that you want. If you want it to be like a sky blue and you started with like a midnight blue, you want to start with white and then add your midnight blue to get to the sky blue color. If that makes sense. So a little bit about me, for those of you who haven't watched any of my other videos. I'm an art teacher, licensed in the state of Wisconsin. I have a lifetime license. I have taught high school for most of my career. I taught high school photography in Arizona when I first got out of college. And then from there I came back home to Wisconsin. And I got a job teaching over in Racine for a substitute, long-term substitute for an art teacher who was on maternity leave at Gilmore Middle School. Back in 2003-ish. And then at the time that teacher came back, my doctor had put me on bed rest because I was pregnant with my firstborn. Shall I say my first evicted? My kids like to say they were evicted because they had C-sections. So my first son, when he was born, he was giving me some issues. And the doctor said I had to stay in bed. So that's what I had to do. And then, after he was born, we moved to Delavan, Wisconsin. And my husband got a job up in Watertown, so then we moved to a little village called Reeseville. And from there, we moved back down to Delavan, where I currently reside. And I have my art studio. And people are welcome to come and create with me in my studio, but I also do paintings for like paint and sips out in local restaurants and park and rec departments. So if you want to come see me in person, you can come do that at a local park and rec or at my home studio. Alright, I'm just filling in those little itty bitty spots. This painting I'm staying very much solid colors. I'm not going to be blending a lot. Did a little bit out here, but you really can't even see it anymore. Alright. So I think turkey. I think his beak is probably yellow. His feet were probably yellow. I'm going to give him, this part is going to be white. This will be a tan. I think it'll be darker than this. These will be the color of the brown, probably straight from the bottle. We'll get going and see. And I'm thinking I'm going to do these stripes here yellow, but I might make them orange. I haven't decided yet. Or I could do red as well. So I might do like red and orange. Maybe I'll make an extra stripe on there. I don't know. I haven't figured that part out yet. So let's go ahead and go into this brown. I have my quarter inch brown brush now, flat. So I'm just going to go ahead and start painting those leaves, his feathers back here, his tail feathers. Do you guys have any normal traditions for Halloween, or not for Halloween, for Thanksgiving? If you do, you can leave them in the comments. If you like, what's your favorite Thanksgiving treat? Do you like the turkey? Do you like pumpkin pie with a whole bunch of whipped cream on it? Do you like the potatoes? Is there a special kind of potato your family makes and likes? Do you like the fact that your family gets together and you have things to be thankful for? So when I'm painting and when I'm brushing the paint, I'm going to try to go in this direction that I think that the petals would, the feathers would be. And really on the feathers you're going to have a center part that comes up, like the part that actually sticks in the turkey, right? And then the quill. And then they kind of come off from that. So if this was the center, they would probably go this way and this way. That's why I'm just kind of going in this round direction with my brush strokes, because then if I see any brush strokes, it still makes it look like it's the feather. And you'll notice I turn my canvas so that I don't get my hand in any wet paint. This is pretty much dry, just in case. I like to turn my canvas. I tape my paper that I have here, it's a watercolor paper, down to a piece of cardboard that I just cut off a box. And then that's what I do there. Alright, so we're gonna paint this part of him the same color brown. And this is his feet. I'll leave a space there, sorry my arm's in the way. Go ahead and turn this again. Turn right side up again so you can see it. There we go. Make sure it's in the camera. Alright, if you don't put marker on yours and you want to see the difference between the feathers, I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. Alright, we want to leave the part that's underneath, so this part here, the darkest. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab a little white on my brush. Just kind of wipe some of it off, but it's on there, okay? And I'm going to put it down on this part. And then I'm going to kind of blend it up towards the top up there. And if I make the tips a little bit lighter than that, so like if this one comes down, it's going to be pretty light. And this one comes down, it's going to be lighter. And then I just go straight into the brown again. And bring that up. And blend it, blend it, blend it, going up. That way the feathers will stand out a little bit. So that's one way of doing that, making it a little lighter for it to stand out. You could do it with a different color too. You could put like a little orange or a little yellow in it to lighten it up. Or you could do the opposite. You could put a little bit of a darker brown. I have a burnt umber here. Put a little of that on my plate. And you can use that. I'm going to switch brushes again because this is a small area. So you can go with this tiny brush here. Put a little bit of that on there. And you can put that underneath. That would look like a shadow too. And since it's still wet while I'm brushing it on there, it's going to help blend. And then those feathers will stand out from the next group up here. Does that make sense? Alright, so I'm going to dip a little into the white. And then it's going to be on this edge here. It's going to be the lighter one. And then just the plain brown to fill it in. And then if I want that to be a little darker, I can go into this darker one. I can go underneath just a little, just kind of where that line would have been. And then drag it down. And that will make it look like you've got a shadow there. I just want to blend that a little bit better there. And you can even do a little bit of that darker underneath his chin there. And the watercolor. Did you know it was called a watercolor? I didn't for a long time. I was clueless. I didn't know. I would have called it a gobbler, you know, because it's by his face. He goes gobble, gobble, gobble. And he makes noises. And I'm just kind of getting rid of some of those brush strokes. There we go. See how it's all blended in there? But you'll be able to see the difference between the feathers. So they look like they're stacked. If you want to just go straight to one color, you can. So go over here. I'll show you this one. We'll just do all the one solid color. And if you have the marker on it, you'll be able to see it. If you don't have the marker, you can always put marker on later. You have to make sure it's dry. Or once you have the solid color on, then you can go in and switch it up and make it a little bit darker and lighter again. So now this time I had the whole thing painted, right? Then I can come back in. It's still kind of wet, so I'm going to go underneath where that was. And this one here. I'm going to start blending it down. Underneath his chin here. Blend it down. Grab a little more. And then go under these, so kind of like if I was tracing them again. And then bring them down. There's not a lot of paint left on my brush, so really it's just kind of moving a little bit. It's kind of like what they would call a dry brush technique. And you can see the difference between the side that has the white on it and the side that doesn't. The one that has the white on it is a little bit brighter. So if you like that, you can come in here with a little bit of that white, put it back in there. My white kind of came off. There we go. Let's go back here. Put that in there. Right? And then we can come in with your brush again. It's still wet, so we can kind of push that white around a little bit. We don't want it to be stark white, but and just blend it all in like so, and voila, there you have it, just like the other side. Okay, so this background petals here looks like it might need a second coat, so I'm going to come in with that color again, and I'm just going to put another coat. It's still a little bit wet, so if you find that while you're painting it's just kind of pushing the paint around and you're not really seeing a big difference, you might have to wait until it's drier, or you can have a lighter pressure on your paintbrush bristles when you're pushing down. Use lighter pressure, like you're barely touching the canvas, or you can use a hair dryer and dry it. If you have a hair dryer at your house, you can dry it that way. Give this guy a second coat right here too. There we go. Should probably be wearing my glasses today. My eyes are getting kind of blurry. Might seem a little weird, but while we're painting this, it's actually the 4th of July weekend in 2024. So I have neighbors up that I don't normally have up, and they're enjoying the lake at our lakefront studio. If you've never been out to my studio, I do live on the lake, so you can watch the sunset over the lake if you're here later. Or you could just come out and enjoy the lake. You don't have to paint or create anything. You can always just come out and spend some time with me. Sit and chit chat. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. People like to come out and get what's on their mind off their mind sometimes. And you're more than welcome to do that. I am here for you. Alright. So I wanted those a little bit darker in the background, right? So I'm not going to have any of the white in. But his face, when I start doing his face, I'm going to have to put a little white in it, just like I did here, so that it kind of pops, especially around the areas that are by the rest of the dark. This color, not sure what I'll do there yet. I mean, a normal turkey, it's all one color. It's all brown, right? So we could make it the same color brown and just kind of do some more outlining around it. But I think we might just go with a tan. Darker than this, maybe around this color, and put that in his belly. It could be what we decide to do. Alright, so I'm thinking straight orange for those next color on his feathers. So I'm going to come into my orange, just go straight orange, pick it up. Still small paintbrush because it's a small area. I'm just going to paint those, paint in the lines, just like if you're coloring. Notice how I'm holding my paintbrush like you would hold a crayon or a pencil. If you want more control with your painting, you have to hold it closer to the tip. If you want your painting to be a little bit more loose, and you're just playing around with strokes, and maybe you're not trying to make something with following in lines of drawing that you might have put on your canvas first. Then I suggest grabbing your paintbrush all the way back here and then just painting that way, because you have a lot less control over the paintbrush and you can be a little bit more freeing and not be so worried about how it looks. And that's the kind of art I like to make too. Just have some fun with it. Alright, I gotta turn the canvas. I'm gonna flip it upside down again. And we're gonna start up here at the top. Dip it into my orange. Smaller the paintbrush you have, the more times you're going to have to dip it into the paint. You don't want to push your brush down to get the paint out, because that's just going to make a fatter line, because your bristles are going to spread out. So you just have to re-dip a lot. And then put very light pressure on the canvas. Okay. Got a stack of wood under my feet here, so if it falls and you hear a big thunk, that's what it is, the wood crashing. Just cleaning out my brush, wiping it on my paper towel. I don't want it wet. See, there's no water on it. This brush might be a little big for what I want to do. We're gonna see. I want to paint his beak, so that's all the way around his glasses. Typically, I should have left his beak for later, because it's probably the closest thing besides his hat that sticks out. If he was three-dimensional and in person, that or his belly, I don't know what's bigger. And typically I like to go in the background and work my way forward. That way I don't have to keep repainting certain areas. You notice with the flat brush, I'm able to get a very fine line, or I can also get a wide stroke. So if I hold my brush this way and I'm painting this way, or if I go this way, it gives me different width of the brush. That's why I like the flat brushes so much, because I can do more. I have a very fine line if I need it, or I can have a very broad stroke and paint something pretty quickly. There's one foot. And my palette over here, I can reach my paints without crossing over all the time, getting my arm in the camera. There's the other foot. Alright, I'm going to take my smaller paintbrush, rinse it off, I'm going to go into my red and my touch of brown. I want this to be muted a little bit. I don't want it to be too bright red. I like the bright red. I just want to mute it a bit. I don't want it to be too bright red. See, that's the bright red. I'll take my paintbrush and actually put it in the brown as well. See that? The nutmeg brown. The one I used on the body. And then I just paint his waddler. Just a waddle, not a waddler, but I called it a waddler. I think I want to use that red again on his glasses, so I don't think I'm going to paint it here. I might mix a little bit of this with the yellow and see what that makes, and maybe put it there. Or maybe I'll just put yellow next to that and then finish it off with the brown or orange again. What do you guys think? How about you do it the way you want to do it? And I'm going to go in and paint it a different, however it turns out. Okay, so I'm going to use that dark umber and get the inside of his mouth. And then I'm going to blot off my brush. I'm going to dip into the white a little bit. I don't really want a pink, but I kind of want a pink. Kind of a pinky red, but I do have a tinge of that brown going on in there, so it's kind of muted again. So it's not just straight bright. I'm kind of going with that brush stroke. I'm going to dip into my water a little bit, try to get this paint to move and fill in the area without having to mix up more paint, because I didn't mix enough. So it'll be kind of a wash, but it should look fine. And there we have it. Okay. Now, I should probably finish painting around his face, huh? Let's go with that nutmeg color. Dry off my brush, the nutmeg brown. And paint around his hat and his eye. And down here, around his glasses. Painting all the areas here that I want that color of his face. And then I might dip my paintbrush into the white a little bit, pounce some of it off. Bring in that white just slightly. Just so it looks like he's got a highlight on his face over there. Okay. And on this side, kind of go around his waddler. His waddle. giving them extra letters all the time. Just a waddle, not a waddler. I'm going to dip into the darker brown this time and go underneath and around the wattle. I'm going to brush that into the nutmeg. Or dip into the nutmeg. And then I'm going to touch the white, just do a little highlight down here, just so it stands out. There we go. Grab my nutmeg and do in here, this little spot. And above his nose, below his glasses. There we go. Okay, so now I have some things to think about. Do I leave his eyes white and then make them like blue, and then this will be his pupil, which will be black, right? And these dots are going to be the little highlights. Or do I make this a light tan like this and then leave this white and make that black? I don't know. But I do want to mix up another color here. So I'm going to grab this white. Grab the white. Mix it in with whatever orange is here. Grab some of this orange. Put in it over here. Kind of making a peach color. Has a little bit of the brown in it because it's on the plate. So really it's kind of making a skin color. I want to go a little more orange. Let's see what this color looks like. Kind of like that color. This paintbrush has seen better days. It's not very flat anymore, so it's not easy to get those fine lines. I'm gonna mix up some more of this peach over here. There we go. It's kind of a pale orange color. Because it has a little bit of that brown in it. It looks very, very peachy as well. Make sure I get it all covered. And I think I'm going to switch over to my detail brush. I don't like to typically bring this guy out very often, but I got to get in some fine areas here, so just clean that up a bit. Anytime I use a detail brush, I'm barely touching the paper because you don't want to ruin your tips on your brushes. And then I just give it a quick rinse and I dry it off immediately. Make sure the paint's out of it. And then I'll go back to my paintbrush again. Dry it off so I don't have drippy drippies going on. Might be time for me to grab a new brush. This one has kind of seen its last. Hasn't been washed out good enough, I don't think, sometimes, and the paint gets stuck up in there. And the bristles get a little stiffer and a little stiffer. Until pretty soon they're just not working like they're supposed to. It's important to keep your brushes in good shape. Alright, get that all colored in there. Got a little spot over here I'm going to have to use my detail brush for. It's this little spot here. And since it's out, it'll touch up those other spots that I couldn't get. Alrighty. Again, rinsing that one out right away and cleaning it off, so that it stays a nice tiny, doesn't flare out, get crazy on me. Alright, so I think I'm gonna do his eye white, and then maybe we'll put a blue in there, maybe I will do purple, because purple is complement of yellow, blue is complement of orange. Or I could make his eyes green, which is the complement of red. So I don't know. So many choices. Alright, let's come on in here with my brush to get this one cleaned out again. And we'll just go ahead and paint this white. Now you might say, why don't you just leave it the white paper? Well, I suppose I could, but then it'll look like it's not painted. And it's not finished. And if anything gets on it, it'll make the paper dirty. If it's painted, I can wipe it off. Alright, painting into my eyeball a bit, which is okay. So I'm going to make that a color anyway. People with their boats going down the road past my house here. And then they come across everyone parked on the side of the road because it's busy this weekend. And they have a hard time getting through because it's a very, very narrow road. And then I'm thinking, man, if they would only go down the road right next to this road. It goes right past the same spot. But you don't have to worry about the cars and from the people who live just in this section of the road. There's only 2 of our houses here that cause the road blockage. Alright. Color of his eyes, color of his eyes, color of his eyes. Let's do like a mint green. So I'm gonna use this Christmas green. Just a dot of it there. And I'm going to get my paintbrush here. Try to get all that paint on there. I got a lot of orange in that brush. The one that doesn't do very well anymore. This guy here. Just got a lot of paint in it. And this. Kind of like kind of a neat mint green. I might put a tinge of blue in there. Just get my bright blue. I might just grab a little bit of that and mix that in there too. Because then I've got that blue-green color, which is a complement of both those colors. Alright. Let's go ahead and put it down and see if I like it. And if I don't, I can paint over it. Pick a different color. That's kind of pretty. It's muted just enough, like the orange. Put that there. That's going to be painted black anyway, so we can go over it a little bit. It's not a big deal. And this side too. Bring this around. have black on my plate right now. That's unusual. Go ahead and squirt a little black on there. Using that teeny tiny brush again. Not the teeniest, tiniest, but that guy, the one I've been using. Just go ahead and paint that in. I'm okay if I go over those circles because the white will cover that up. I'll try to avoid some of it so that I remember where it was. Okay. This side over here. Again, kind of want to go around it, but at the same time I want to go over it so that I can. So I'll leave a little spot there so I know where it was. And I'll just go and fill in the rest of the pupil color. So you could do this with watercolor, you could do it with crayons, you could do it with oil pastels. Today we're painting with acrylics because that's what the kids want to paint with where I'm at. They want to do the paint and sips like the adults do, so we're doing them for kids as well these days. All right. Alright, we have to paint in between there. I forgot that. It was this color. Or it could be that color, like the spotlight that he's standing on. I think I'm going to do that circle down there, the same color as eyes, to tie that color someplace else. I'm going to get the paint out of my brush. I'm going to have to mix up some more of that green blue color that was in his eyes because I used it all up. That's got to be pretty close. And I'll paint that in down here, and I'm going to paint over the words. I can go back in later and put them back out front, just like I'll probably go back in later with a marker and put my black lines back in around my turkey, because he's kind of cartoonish illustrated. He just seems like he needs to have those. Alright, and we want to go with that brown and orange to get that terracotta color. And paint that in back here since we forgot it the first time. There we go. Alright, now he needs his glasses and his hat painted. I'm gonna go with red for his glasses and orange for his hat. Or maybe red for the glasses and yellow for the hat. The hat could be brown too. It could be black. Could leave it white. I think red for the glasses for sure. Alright, rinse out my brush. Dip in my red. And I want to go a little into that brown. Because I like this color here. Forgive me if my hand got in the way there again. And a little bit into that brown again. I don't want it to get too just plain red. Kind of blend on the canvas, so if it gets a little red in spots, a little darker in spots, that's okay. It'll kind of look like he's got marbleized glasses. And that will look cool. And I went to that darker red again. Try to bring that back in here. Alright, if I want any bit of that brighter red to be brighter, I'd like it down at the bottom there, and a little up the top like that. That it is right there, because the rest would be kind of in the shadow. So there we have it. He's cute. Alright, what color should the hat be? What color do you want it to be? I think you can make it any color you want. I think I might just go with straight up orange, or maybe a yellow orange. Let's mix a little yellow and orange together. Because that'd be a brighter color then. Not a color we've done yet. That'll tie the yellow and the orange together really well. I'm dipping my paintbrush directly in the yellow and in the orange at the same time. And then just lobbing it on. Back into the yellow here, brighten it up a bit. Got a paint booger there. Let's try to get that off. Another paint booger. got our orange. We got our yellow. Make a couple highlight colors. And then we'll have a couple of the shadowy colors. Not a screaming going on around here. I don't think it's being picked up on the camera though. Alright, I need a little bit more yellow. Because mine got pretty chunky here. It's a fun color for the hat. And we'll put a touch of straight orange or maybe red top here. And again, we'll hit that with the black marker later. Get the wobble and the gobble back in there. Alright, I'm going to use my bigger paintbrush that I have here, and I'm going to use the handle of it, the back end. So I got it cleaned off. I'm going to dip it into the white. And I'm going to put that little highlight dot there. Dip again. Put my highlight dot there. Dip again. My highlight dot down there. And there we have it. Our cute little wobble gobble turkey. I'm going to push pause so you guys don't have to listen to the hairdryer. Alright, so I'm going to grab a blue marker. Maybe like this minty green one. We'll see how that one looks. I'll try to find the black one. I think that's navy blue. Because my black ones are getting pretty bad. We use them a lot. So I don't want to put this straight on my picture yet. And see what color the blue is. Okay. It's a pretty color. Let's see what color this green is. Oh, that's a little closer to our green eye up here, so I think I might go around it. Just darken that up just slightly, just give it a nice outline. Instead of going black around there. Gives them a little more dimension. I'm going to go with the navy because, like I said, I'm pretty sure my blacks are all bad and kind of crappy, and I think this will look close enough. Trace around all where my line was before. Alright, so retrace some of my lines. If I feel like the paint is soft or I'm pushing it, I'm going to avoid that area for a little bit because it's probably not dry yet. I don't want to clog up my marker. The areas that we painted first should be fairly dry, but they might not be. We don't have to do this step. But if you would like, you can. All right, now remember, it was gobble till we wobble. This is not typically my normal handwriting, but I kind of like the style of, oof, I think it was here. I hope it was, because part of my paint is, tape is covered by the paint. So. Alright, come on over here and do this side. I like being able to watch things on YouTube, because if you want to watch it at a faster speed, you can. If you want to pause it or slow it down, you can. If you want to watch it more than once, you can. If you're done waiting and you don't want to watch me outline and you just want to get to the end and see how it looks at the end, you can do that on YouTube too. The problem with liking to do that all the time and not having the patience is that it's hard for kids to listen to a teacher or watch a demonstration in real time. Lose their attention. They start looking around the classroom. So it's definitely good practice. Just to have to sit and watch regular time, regular speed, with or without commercials. Think of a commercial as like a bathroom break. Almost done. Just a few more outlines. It's another reason why I don't edit my videos. So I think it's important sometimes just to sit and have to watch something in real time. Without the ability of editing, fast forwarding. I think we have it all done. It's all outlined. The name's on the bottom. Now the reveal of removing the tape. I just heated it up so the glue should be soft enough. I can pull it off without tearing my paper. And you guys can see what it looks like. Here's my signature. Peeled off the cardboard, but I'm sure it's fine. Alright, there we have it. There's the finished image. I hope you enjoyed making this one, and again, if you need to trace the image, you can copy the image and put it on your canvas. This is a 9x12 piece of paper, but you can put it on a smaller one and just create a bigger background. I guess a bigger one to create a bigger background, a smaller one you'd end up cropping some of them off. So enjoy!